All right, guys. Ron Paul has been in the news and on the internet all over, and he's been making headlines. And he's a very unique candidate, so we have people to discuss. Mark, you're an ardent supporter of Ron Paul's.
Right.
Steve, I believe you are as well.
Very much so.
Now, Anthony, you support our president, George W.
Absolutely.
And I want to start off with you guys. Mark, you're shaking your head already. But I want to start off with what makes Ron Paul so unique in the Republican Party?
Well, Ron Paul actually represents the core Republican values of smaller, less expensive, less intrusive government.
So when you talk about like non-interventionist government, in other words, he always says he doesn't want to get entangled in foreign affairs?
Right. No nation building under Ron Paul. Ron Paul believes in trade with other countries, not warfare.
Anthony, how do you feel about that?
Well, how are we going to leave, like, the last time the United States moved away from the rest of the world, we got World War II. Roosevelt said in his third campaign that he's not going to get in any kind of situation, specifically a war, unless the United States was attacked. So he gave the enemies of this country the opportunity to do whatever they want, because they knew the policy was, we ain't going to do nothing, no matter what you do, unless we're attacked. So 50 million people perished. People died during World War II because the United States was not going to do nothing. So are you saying that Ron Paul, let's say, as the terrorists build up their ability to attack the United States, what is Ron Paul going to do as far as engaging these people?
You want? I can.
Go ahead, Steve.
It comes down to Ron Paul is very firmly in favor of defending the United States and defending us from any kind of attack. There is no doubt or dispute of the fact that the terrorist attack that we suffered on 9/11 and other ones previous to that were actual attacks on the United States. They threatened the United States. Ron Paul, however, differs from the normal response, which the current administration and all the Democratic candidates and all the Republican candidates tend to support, is we're going to go over and we're going to continue doing what we have been doing for years and years and years, and we're not going to change that. All we're going to do is throw our military at them.
Well, we have that policy here in the United States. Usually when a victim becomes a victim is after the fact. The cops usually show up after they mark the floor with your dead body. Right. What will Ron Paul do different than waiting for the attack to come in?
Two things. One is, like I said, he's very strongly in favor of defending the United States when the United States is attacked. The second thing is, however, is that he wants, one of the things that we have done, the activities our foreign policy has promoted, has basically caused, not directly caused, but has directly made it easier.
It's created terrorists.
Yeah, it's created terrorists.
The United States engaging in the world is creating terrorists.
No, the United States propping up little dictators all over the world that abuse their people has created terrorists. It's created a tremendous blowback, as people like to say, as the CIA even says. And the CIA, they're the ones that have overthrown democratic governments around the world, set up little puppet dictators, and then amazingly, those populaces turn against America because we're supporting dictators.
So, Mark, you're for what Ron Paul says, which is non-interventionist, pull the troops back out of Iraq.
Right, you're for a non-interventionist policy,
but that would mean bringing the troops home right now, right?
Bring the troops home, yeah. But at the same time, if you have a situation like our nation faced in the 30s, okay, where there's a fascist dictator that's attacking other countries actively, then you have to take some action.
Okay, so
like when Saddam Hussein went into Kuwait originally, it was the right thing for us to do to go kick him back out.
You feel at that time, with the way Ron Paul, with his platform, he would have went in and took care of Saddam Hussein during the first Gulf War?
I think so, but he would have done the most important step, which first is you have to ask Congress to declare war, because it's unconstitutional to go to war without a declaration of war from Congress.
So you feel what Bush did was illegal?
Definitely unconstitutional.
So let's say Ron Paul.
Let me go back to finish the one statement. One of the things is that Ron Paul is very firmly. We have pursued this policy. It has apparently not worked, and I'm not simply talking about our current anti-terrorist efforts and our war. It hasn't worked. It hasn't worked for years. So what Ron Paul is trying to say and get us to do is, let's look at the issues, what they are saying is causing those attacks, and don't stop defending the United States, but simply let's go ahead and interdict those things which caused it.
Why don't we go to the root of what's causing the attacks? Now, the attackers say that you are obviously, both of you guys are obviously infidels. Therefore, based on their policy, you need to be killed. Now, where do you compromise with that?
Where's their army and their navy on our shores?
That is the policy.
Are they here?
Well,
no.
It doesn't take an army to detonate a nuclear weapon or a dirty bomb or any other chemical, or to drop chemicals inside our drinking water. What army does it take?
Our current policies basically are recruiting posters for terrorists. Okay, that's what our current policies are doing.
So basically, you're against policing the cities of this country because
no, we should defend very vigorously the cities of this country.
But the police in this country are doing the same thing we are doing. We are actively engaging the criminals throughout the world. So you're saying that because we are actively engaging them, that we're disrupting their ability to do business, and that's why they hate us.
No, we are occupying their holiest territory. I mean, literally, we have, ever since the Gulf War, when we didn't withdraw our troops, we have been occupying the holiest land in all of Islam.
Excuse me, but didn't the whole thing started during the Crusades when the Islamists closed off the Middle East? Isn't that how the United States was founded? Because the Western nations had to find a different route to India? Who closed off the history of the Middle East? So you're saying just because America is in a specific country, that is occupation?
Prior to our occupation of the Holy Lands of the Middle East, the United States used to be the most favored nation with all of the Middle Eastern governments. They loved us because we were not colonial. The Europeans had a history of being colonial. We didn't.
Are you not paying attention?
The Saudi government loves us because we propped them up.
So you're saying
Saddam Hussein loved us until we turned on him because we propped him up, put him in power. The Shah of Iran loved us, okay, until his people finally had enough of him and threw him out of power because we had propped up the Shah.
Mark, we got a viewer on the line. Viewer, you're on the air. What's your name? What's your comment or question?
Tony Watley.
Go ahead, Tony.
Hey, you should have called tonight's show, you should have titled it Looney Tunes, because the last three
Hey, Tony, you're not here.
Have been crazy.
The title wouldn't be appropriate.
The first segment, the lady is a stalker. She's
I'm not going to go there.
Yeah, no, it's Looney Tunes when Tony's here, because he makes no sense.
So now, hold on. I want to get back to Ron Paul's platform, because we're all jumping all over the place. He's talking about no nation building.
Right.
So he would pull back all the troops out of the Middle East, correct?
He would request the military to basically start to withdraw the people.
That's fine. Now, he's also for no IRS.
Right.
And he's also for basically doing away with most of the branches in the government, right?
Right.
What branches would he want to do away with that he's listed?
He's listed several of them. Primary, of course, is the IRS. Then also you have most of the intelligence community would be gone. Most of the federal policing capability, including the FBI, would be gone.
Do you think he has a realistic shot?
Oh, and the Education Department and the Commerce Department and a number of others.
Do you think he has